Genesis chapter 3 verse 22, And the Lord God said, Behold, the man is become one of us. Trinitarians like to point out that this verse reads, God said, yet the plural us indicates a plurality, and they use this to prove the doctrine of the Trinity from this verse. However, the Trinitarian argument on this passage is only an indirect argument that us may very well be a reference to the angels of God, and the word God in Hebrew, Elohim, refers both to the angels and to humans who are called God. The Hebrew word Elohim, translated God, and the plurals us and our, never suggest a Trinitarian idea to the Jews, nor is there any New Testament allusion to indicate that in their interpretation of this passage they were mistaken. The Trinitarian argument is that the us and our refer to either Jesus or the Holy Spirit. However, the plurals in the passage refer to God performing his creative work through his angels. Consider the evidence. Men bear the physical image of angels. Angels were mistaken for men by Lot. Genesis chapter 18 verse 2 and 22. Compare chapter 19 and verse 1 and 15. Be not forgetful to entertain strangers, for thereby some have entertained angels unaware. Hebrews chapter 13 and verse 2. Faithful saints will bear the nature of angels in the resurrection. Luke chapter 20 and verse 35 and 36. Divine activity is said to be done by God, although actually executed by the angels. Note the following examples. Yahweh appeared to Moses in the burning bush. Exodus chapter 3 verses 4 to 8. But Stephen says Moses was with the angel which appeared to him in the bush. Acts chapter 7 and verse 35. Compare verse 30. The Exodus account also reveals that it was an angel. Exodus chapter 3 and verse 2. God gave the 10 Commandments to Moses. Exodus chapter 20 verse 2. Note the me, verse 3. For I Yahweh thy God, verse 5. But Stephen says it was an angel which spoke to him in Mount Sinai with our fathers, who received the living oracles to give unto us. Acts chapter 7 and verse 38. Jacob said that he had seen God face to face, and my life is preserved. Genesis chapter 32 and verse 30. However, the prophet Hosea says that he wrestled with an angel. Chapter 12 and verse 3 and 4. Compare Genesis 32 and verse 1 and 2. The Hebrew word Elohim, translated God, is a plural word. It is translated goddess, judges, and applied to pagan idols. 1 Kings chapter 11 and verse 33. Exodus chapter 21 and verse 6. Judges chapter 16 and verse 23. It is generally acknowledged that it comes from a root meaning power or strong one. The plural Elohim means powerful ones or strong ones. It is precisely the description of the angels. Bless Yahweh, ye his angels that excel in strength, that do his commandments, hearkening unto the voice of his word. Psalm 103 and verse 20. Although the usual Hebrew word for angel, the Hebrew word Elohim, is translated angels in Psalm chapter 8 and verse 5. Since the writer to the Hebrews, quoting this passage in Hebrews chapter 2 verse 7, compare verse 9, translates the word Elohim by the Greek word for angels, it can be inferred that the intended meaning of the word Elohim in Psalm chapter 8 verse 5 is also angels, divine messengers.